Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our regular weekly call with Uprint and uh, Red Earth Development. Matt Ham here have been spending the last, 6 or 7 months with the team, and we do a weekly call every week to keep you guys kind of in perspective, possibly encouraged and moving in a good, positive direction for the organization and in your own lives individually. As I'm talking today, I've got folks on the live call here and be a little bit more personal to them just because we're kind of making a shift. And so just to let everybody know that's on the call, we talked last week. I've really opened up the phone to you guys and let y'all share some of the real challenges that you're facing kind of on the sales side, boots on the ground in the communities. And, I talked with John at length about our conversation. And so we are working to continue to evolve and move in a direction that is truly helpful for everybody that's on the team. John brought me on board to really kind of be an extension of himself from an encouragement and a team development standpoint. And that's what the role has been in kind of in limited capacity as we've navigated this year. But moving forward, the goal is to expand a little bit and get more into kind of specific sales support and sales oversight. Our calls up to this point have been really focused on kind of a holistic approach to our lives and our businesses. We've talked about a variety of different things from kind of mindset, attitudes, how do we handle relationships, how do we deal with disappointment, how do we navigate distractions, really high level type stuff that some can kind of find philosophical and maybe it doesn't hit home as well as the practical kind of on the ground, what do I need to do in this moment? But I believe wholeheartedly that you have to have a solid foundation if you want to go vertical. Anytime they build a skyscraper, the first thing they do is they go deep and then they go tall. And so a lot of people want to go tall without going deep, and that's where you see a lot of struggles within sales, specifically of folks that don't have solid foundations. So that's why we focused, as we have over the past 6 or 7 months, on some deepening principles, some ideas of how we navigate the stresses of our jobs and our lives, etc. So now we're going to be pivoting into more of a sales-focused environment, and that will certainly take some time and will evolve as we move into it. And just to let everybody on the call know, and anyone who certainly watches this on the YouTube channel, is that there is going to be available one-to-one sales support for you guys that I'm going to be available to spend some time with you all one-to-one, maybe go through some front end, go through some client situations, really help build a healthy and vibrant sales process for each of you, and that's all individually done. So rather than do it in a group, we're going to have group calls that focus on high-level stuff, and then individual calls that focus more on the granular aspect of how you guys bring your personality into the sales process and how you guys are successful in what you do. So that's kind of the direction we are going, a quick snapshot there. One thing to mention, just specifically those that are on the call today, today is certainly election day. That is on our minds and hearts, so it goes, we don't need to skip over that. I realize that has its own bearing for you all independently. We all celebrate the freedom that we have to go and vote. Encourage you guys to do that if you feel led. One of the things that John sent out to the team this morning, kind of from his perspective, is specifically whether today or tomorrow, no matter what happens with the election situation, you and we are part of a team. And that team is localized at your individual communities, but it's also part of the Red Earth team. And we just want you all to know that we're here to help support you guys toward that common direction of excellence and success. And so John just said, don't neglect in the coming days the opportunity that you have as part of a team to really help those around you, to encourage them, to give them some assistance if needed, celebrate them when they do well, having a healthy team environment is certainly important, especially when navigating, kind of a potentially chaotic environment. And we know that the news is going to say what they're going to say, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But it doesn't negate the fact that we're still part of a team, and we still have the opportunity to look after those around us and encourage them and be there for them as needed. So just keep that in mind and know that we organizationally are here for you guys in the same capacity as well. And that was just kind of a little caveat that John wanted me to share with you guys, just so you knew it and were aware of it. Along those lines, we have to recognize that anxiety is a real challenge when it comes to navigating the circumstances. Last week on the call, when I was talking with the team, we brought up a lot of different challenges that you all face. And most of those challenges were challenges with the developer potentially not sharing enough information and feeling like you guys were in the dark with some of the developmental, what's coming, or even things changing and not knowing about them, and what position that puts you in with your clients, having shared information, not having the proper information, kind of feeling out of the loop. That was one big challenge that you guys expressed. Another was an inventory challenge that the builders have not, were kind of behind because there was so much success, kind of playing catch up and not having the proper inventory. And those types of situations can cause great anxiety. They can cause great frustration. And so I talked with John at length about that, and he agreed wholeheartedly. He said, yes, those are two very real challenges that we face. And at the same time, we have to recognize that there's not a whole lot that we can do to change that. Certainly, to put better communication processes in play with sharing information and making sure that inventories and things are up to date, those all need to be done. But for the most part, there are certain things that we can focus on that, in fact, we cannot change. And that is a real tangible challenge, because what happens for those in the sales business, specifically those who are in pre-development or community development sales like you guys are, it's just a part of the business, right? You deal with an immovable object, which is a developer not wanting to put too much information out there. And no matter how much you want to change that, sometimes you just can't. And so I want to talk through a couple of these things and give you guys some nuggets to help remove or decrease this level of anxiety that might happen when it feels like you can't change anything. So take, for example, in Oakland Springs or Providence, you can see, and John was telling me that there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars that are being poured into that community on the development side. He said there's tractors moving dirt. There is visible progress. So when you look at what's going on, right, you have a tendency to focus on the things that aren't happening. Well, they're not communicating about, these tenants or this development plan, or, we don't have enough inventory. But the key in that moment is to focus on the energy that is created by what is happening. It's a shift of your focus from what isn't happening to what is happening, which is something we've talked about in our previous calls. But that gives you the capacity to choose to get excited about what is happening. You guys are in the pre-development business, pre-sale business, new home development sales business. So you're dealing with the fact that you're selling a vision of something that will be. And there are many challenges that take place in that process. And it kind of comes with the territory. But you have to always remember to focus on what is going on. There's a developer that's moving dirt in new development areas. They are putting together properties and opportunities for you guys for years to come. And there's a lot of excitement from what I hear. I still am so eager to get down and see these communities for myself. So don't lose sight of what is happening for what isn't happening. And kind of the overarching theme there is focus. Whatever you tend to focus on grows. If you're focused on what's not happening, there's anxiety around that. That is going to limit your success, period. You can't focus on anxiety and what's not happening and grow something. You have to recognize it, yes, understand what you can change and control, and then you have to move on to the things you can. Focus on what you can change and control. You know, one of the things that John was saying, the unique part about this business, this industry, is for you guys as salespeople, you don't have to worry about the titling of property or the development of property, you know, the builder side. It's not your job to worry about all of those elements, although those elements do affect the job that you're doing. There's challenge in that. We recognize it, but there's also an opportunity in that. The opportunity is twofold. You even have an opportunity to shift the focus to the things that aren't happening and get frustrated with inventory, get frustrated with lack of communication, get frustrated when there's delays, get frustrated, and that can keep you in this perpetual state of anxiety or frustration. And what it tends to lead to is apathy. Whatever. It is what it is. I'm just going to go kind of camp out in the model today and just see if anybody knocks on the door. However, I'd ask you guys, is that efficient and effective to the direction that you want to move in and the opportunity that is here? You know, you think about when things are going on around you that you can't control. One of the greatest things that brings stability and energy and opportunity in that moment is to focus on the things you can control. But that's not sexy all the time. That's not fun all the time. And let me give you guys a perfect example in my life and my business. You know, we own and operate a personal development organization called Uprint. We produce content. We have resources and services in a variety of different means. One-to-one mentoring, one-to-one kind of coaching. I'm doing what I do with the Red Earth team in multiple arenas. We've got a radio broadcast. We edit videos, podcasts, testimonials, social media activity. I run kind of a home gathering thing. We run a faith and business thing, a lot of speaking. My point is there's all of this different stuff that goes on out here. All of these different demands and expectations, right? Just like you guys, you have different demands and expectations. But a lot of times I fall in the trap of not wanting to do the dirty work. What's the dirty work? Well, the dirty work is when you own a company, right, which I do, and you have a billing situation with someone who said they were going to pay you, but they haven't. And you've got to follow up and bird dog that billing payment. You've got to switch a user from system A over to system B. You've got to go through and spend time kind of combing through new opportunities, new sales opportunities. And so you've got to put together a package, proposal materials. You got to go out and you got to cold call on those people, you know? So how do you do that while juggling all the other demands that go on? And what I have found myself doing in this season is skipping over the fundamentals. Skipping over the things that I don't want to do. I just don't want to do that. I'm just not going to do that. But that's not efficient, effective, and it's certainly not focusing on the things that can move the needle. And so one of the things that emerged in a conversation with my business partner and myself that I think you guys will benefit greatly from is leadership does not begin in the boardroom. It begins in the bathroom. Now, let me explain. If you want to lead within an organization, you have to be willing to clean the toilet before you ever speak in the boardroom. A great organization, and think of yourself as an organization. You know, you're part of an organization, yes, but think of yourself as an individual person, as an organization. If you're not willing to do the dirty work of cleaning the toilets, kind of the X's and O's, the things that need to be done, then you're not going to be able to move into that next level. And so for a salesperson, what are the baseline kind of 101 things that you guys have to do every day, regardless if there's inventory, regardless if the developer is communicating clearly, regardless of what's going on externally? The bottom line is you have to show up, meaning you got to be there. You've got to put in the time, but not just put in the time by checking a clock. That's not how you guys function. To show up is not just to sit in the model home. To show up is to pour yourself into the opportunity that is today with an excellence, because you believe that that is going to carry you in the direction that you need to go. It's like a big organization, right? There's anytime something amazing started, like Amazon. When Amazon first started, there's probably a moment where Bezos was sending out packages. Did he want to send out packages? No, probably not. You know what I mean? Or if he got to a place where he could hire that out, he had to oversee the process because he had to know that it was compliant with the excellence that he wanted to bring forth. And so you can't go to the next level in your life or in your business if you're wanting to skip parts of the process. You can't skip parts of the process, right? John was telling me about a buddy of his who's in great physical shape, and John's like, man, I always see this guy and go, like, I want to be like that guy. I want to be in better shape. Well, the guy gets up an hour earlier than John in the morning and spends an hour working out. And John says, if I want the outcome, I've got to be willing to put in the time. I've got to show up and do the things that need to be done. So when you've got things going on around you, it's easy to focus on the things you can't control, which keeps you discouraged, which keeps you distracted. But you've got to shift your focus back to go, I'm going to go back and do the little things that because here's the deal. Most people don't want to do them. Most salespeople want to take shortcuts. They don't want to do the little nitty-gritty things that make people excellent and successful, like calling, your database, like writing handwritten notes, like being intentional with practicing your front end presentation, the whole process of qualifying lots and so forth. People don't want to do those things. They want the big success on the back end. They don't want to have to put in the work. And so in this moment, when you've got things going on around you can't control, you got to shift your focus back to what you can control. First thing is show up. Show up and bring your best to the table every day. The second thing is follow the process. Follow the process. John has put an incredible sales process together that has been vetted over 20 years in the business. It works, it works, it works, it works. It doesn't work if you don't follow it. So rather than trying to reinvent the wheel, say, listen, there's a process here. It's like with sports or whatever. You've got to block and tackle in football. The big home run plays, what looks great, but teams that win championships and are ultimately successful, they block real well, they tackle real well. They're fundamentally sound. So you guys in this season, I think now is a great opportunity to get fundamentally sound, and that's why we're moving into helping with more of the side of the business that is the sales specific side. And then the last thing I would say is you got to repeat it every day. You got to show up, you got to bring excellence to the table, you got to follow the process, and you've got to repeat it every day. One of the things my business partner was really challenging me on the other day is consistency. He said, Matt, you can't just do things for a little while. You have to do them consistently. And so when it comes to your database calling, when it comes to handwritten notes, when it comes to practicing your front end, are you consistent with those things? This isn't just get fired up in a moment and go do it. It's, are you consistent with the things that make you excellent? And so I would tell you guys that in this season, there's a great opportunity to be distracted, to be discouraged, to shift your focus on the things that aren't happening, but really transitioning from this idea of kind of your whole life, the holistic picture that we talk about, getting into the nitty-gritty of the sales process. You have to understand that both are needed. You got to build a foundation, right, before you want to go vertical. And we've worked on that for the last 7 months or so. All the videos are online. You can go back and look over them however you want to do that. But if you want to start going vertical, it starts very simply. You've got to be good at the basics before you can get better. and better and better. One of the things my business partner Kevin always says is you got to learn to hit the tennis ball right before you can hit the tennis ball well. My wife and I, when we were in college, both very athletic, but she was finessed. She was very good at hitting a tennis ball. I just tried to power it across the net, right? So she wore me out the first time we played tennis. Still wears me out to this day because she learned how to hit the ball right before she could hit it well. And I was very impatient. I didn't want to learn how to hit it right before I could hit it well. I just wanted to hit it hard. And so in your own life and in your own business, you've got to get good at the basics. And the basics are, like I said, showing up, just bringing excellence, following the program, knowing the program, and we can walk through the sales process. We can walk through the things that you guys are struggling with, and then you've got to repeat that consistently with excellence. And the opportunity is there for you guys. Everyone on this call knows that there's an incredible opportunity, financial opportunity for you all in this season and in the decades to come, as long as you stay in a place of wanting to sell, because there's property to be sold, there's development happening. You have a great trajectory ahead of you that can truly change the landscape and help you achieve what it is that you want to do. But it's not going to happen with shortcuts, and it's not going to happen if you don't focus on the fundamentals. And so we're going to be stepping into that, kind of some ideas on the upcoming calls, and then we're going to be available for anybody who wants to go through that process on a one-to-one basis. I'm going to be here to help you guys kind of as a sales support role. But that's it for today. Just know that this all matters tremendously, and there's great opportunity in it. It just depends on where our focus is. So thank you guys so much for jumping on today's call. If y'all want to reach out to kind of communicate about setting up a one-to-one opportunity, we can talk more about your sales process, where you want to focus your time and energy. I'm here to help you in that. You can email me, matt@uprint.life. That's matt@youprint.life. Or you can call me 910-619-4644. You guys have a great day.